Okay, let's discuss things that annoy me on live sports broadcasts. Now, this is a subjective list. People will have their own pet hates when it comes to live sports broadcasts. So there's no particular order to these. I've selected 8 topics to discuss, and some people will agree with some of these, some will disagree. Digital ads, the first thing I want to discuss, very distracting, especially if I'm like sports like rugby league and rugby union that I watch a lot of. You'll see the digital ad imposed on the playing surface. And when you see the instant replay, another thing that annoys me, which we'll discuss later on, you can clearly see that there's just plain grass there. So that is really annoying. It's the same with the NHL with the digital advertising boards and the superimposed ads. That's been regularly complained about. And yes, I have to agree. They're very distracting from watching the actual play, the actual action. Very, very distracting. But I also understand the sports and the broadcasters want to maximise that advertising revenue because it's getting harder and harder to get advertisers to do the TV ad breaks. And with the change in viewing habits, with more people now viewing on streaming services, I understand why they want to maximise the advertising revenue and what they charge for it. But I think they go overkill. They go overkill with the digital ads. It's very, very, very annoying and distracting. That's just a pet hate. Commentary is a thing where I have a lot of pet hates. I think having a play-by-play with a colour co-commentator is fine. The colour commentary and the play-by-play commentary. So having 2 co-commentators together I think is fine. But there's a lot of broadcasts where you have maybe 3 or 4 commentators in the commentary booth. And that just, for me, is overkill. It ends up becoming, just too much. Too much. Having a play-by-play commentator or sole commentator, occasionally with a co-commentator who's normally the ex-athlete, I think that's fine. But when you've got 2 or 3 co-commentators in there, it becomes overkill and it doesn't add to the broadcast. If anything, it becomes more annoying listening to the broadcast. And some of the commentators they have who are the ex-players, some of these ex-players have been retired a very, very long time, and the sport they're commentating on has evolved and changed from their playing days. And there's a few commentators that I'll be listening to this weekend in the Six Nations, for example, that make me want to just... I would prefer scratching my nails down a whiteboard or a blackboard, just like that scratching sound is preferable to Jonathan Davis. And then there's that bias commentary as well. And again, I have come across this... watching live sport, you will get that biased commentator, and they're not being objective, and it gets very, very annoying. But that's my opinion on commentary. Half-time interviews when the players are coming off to go down the tunnel back into the dressing rooms. What are they going to say? Well, I mean, honestly, they're still high on adrenaline. They're probably out of breath as well if it's been a very high-paced game, and they're getting a microphone shoved in their face, and they've got to give an interview. When in reality they want to get back in the dressing sheds, they want to sit down, have that halftime team talk, have a bit of rest, recuperation, get some fluids in them. They've got a microphone in their face. I find that annoying. I think it's probably annoying for the players, but again, with the media rights deals we have in place now, they have to give a player every game has to give a half-time interview, which I think is just ridiculous. I mean, what are they going to say? The answers are always generic and the same. You don't get that many characters these days in sport because they're media coached. So half-time interviews for me, I think, are pointless. They are annoying as well. I think it's more annoying for the players, but I tune out at half-time anyway. That links into the pitch side reporters. They don't really add anything for me. Yes, I can see the player is injured. He's gone off. He's clearly concussed. He's clearly got a broken leg. He's gone off. I think it's kind of obvious he's hurt. Let's wait for the post-match interviews where actually their condition can be properly assessed and we can work out how serious the injury is. But I think it's kind of plain and obvious they're probably not returning to the field of play. Just putting it out there. So those pitch side reporters, they don't really add much for me. I understand that obviously when they first came along it was a new shiny thing, and it was more American broadcasters with the major leagues in America that came up with the pitch side reporter with the NFL. Other leagues decided to do it because the NFL's doing it. Let's do it just because another league or another broadcaster is doing it. Every broadcaster does it now. It's not unique. It's not earth-shattering, and a lot of the time they're not very good. Plain and honest, they're not very good. It's. Do they add anything? I can see the guy's concussed. I can see the guy's got a dislocated shoulder or a broken leg. I don't need to be told he's not coming back to play. It's obvious he's limped off the field or he's been carried off the field on a stretcher. He's not returning to play. Don't need an update on that. Hence, post-match press conference can deal with that if and when the questions can be asked by the journalists in the post-match press conference. Too many ad breaks. Now, this is more of a North American pet peeve I have with some of the North American broadcasts. And some motorsport broadcasts is there's too many ad breaks. This used to be a thing on ITV with the F1 way back when. In the 2000s, they would cut away to ad breaks at really not opportune moments because they had to get those ad breaks in. It's the same with cricket as well. There's a lot of ad breaks in cricket. The major leagues in North America, there's a lot of ad breaks, and a lot of people find them frustrating, not just me. I think, again, I understand, maximise the ad revenue. The broadcasters have agreements with their advertisers. They also have their time slots. But there's so many ad breaks. And we've seen it before. We've seen it here in the UK. We've seen it in North America. We've seen it around the world. They are frustrating. It's nice to find, no ad breaks live in play. It is refreshing. Also, the advertising banners going around, again, with those digital ads, very annoying. The post and pre-match segments, I think, are too long. Again, it's a time slot filler. They can drone on with some of the pre-match build-up and the post-match analysis. It can drag on. I've seen what I've seen in the main bit of the actual play. The pre-match, okay, I can get 5, 10, 15 minutes of pre-match build-up. Anything more than that is too long. Post-match, I don't need to hear about a couple of middle-aged blokes wearing suits going about how bad the game was or how good the game was. I can see with my own eyes when I'm watching that live broadcast. Again, it's more of a time filler. The broadcasters have a time slot for their broadcast. And again, that's where the ads come in as well. And the post-match can sometimes drag on a bit, especially if it's a double header. And they've got to fill that slot in between two games that are taking place on the same channel. So you've had game one, and then you've got the gap between the first game finishing and the second game finishing. So today, for example, I'll be watching the two Six Nations matches that are taking place. Now, they might be on different channels. I haven't checked yet. But if they're on the same channel and it's a double header, you've got that inane block in the middle of the broadcast where they're just filling time, where it's too long. That's potentially where you could go to the news, have a quick news broadcast, which they used to do back in the day. They don't do it as much now. They make it a really long broadcast, and then they bombard that section of the gap with ads. So I do think the pre and post match segments, they're too long. They need to be shorter because people just want to watch the live action. The graphics, I mentioned that again with sometimes you've got the little ticker tape. That's very distracting. Some of the live graphics, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on which just don't need to be there. Just have the score and the clock. That's all you need. And they add a lot of extra graphics on there. I understand in motorsport having like the position of the vehicle, of the race cars and the drivers. I get that on the tower graphic, but a lot of sports broadcasts is a lot of graphics. There's ticker tape. There's sponsors ads turning up. It's very, very distracting when you just want to watch the action. And instant replays. Too many replays at the same instant. Yes, I can see it's clearly a dirty hit, or it's an injury, or it's a great goal, or it's a great try, or whatever the action is. We don't need to see the replay 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Really don't. Because we're going to get to see those replays in the halftime show, the post-match show. Just replay. We've got it in 4K HD. It's no longer the fun thing. Replays have been around now. The instant replay has been around now for 30, 40 years. It's not innovative anymore. They're just it's just like there's too many of them. Okay, yeah, we might have missed a certain bit of play. 2 or 3 replays is fine, but then constantly replaying the same thing, especially if there's a lengthy break in play, it just doesn't add anything. And again, it's just, okay, you've done it now. You've played with your nice toy. It's an instant replay. We've had instant replays longer than I've been alive. It's not innovative anymore. It's not a new thing. Every broadcast does it. and it's a thing that I've noticed in motorsport a lot of the time. It's some of the like rugby league, rugby union, ice hockey, football, soccer to North Americans. The use of too many replays. Some replays are good, but they just overdo it, and it just. And then I've noticed previous round of the FA Cup, they were doing these replays of action, and they're missing the play. So a goal's been scored, and they're faffing around with the replay trying to show us how the goal was scored, and then there's an attack going down the other end, and they missed 30, 40 seconds of action on the field, or there was a foul, there's a free kick. They're still focusing on the action replay. They're playing on. You can actually hear the whistles being blown. The referees resume play. So less is more sometimes. Less is more. So these are things that annoy me on live sports broadcasts. There's going to be, other people have a slightly different list, but these are constant complaints, not just from me, but from many, many people. And it'll be interesting to see what people's annoyances are and what they find annoying on live sports broadcasts. But I thought I'll just do this today because I actually will be watching some live sport later, and some of these things will come up where I'm going, is that necessary for this broadcast? Sometimes less is actually more. Keeping things more simple actually improves the broadcast. When you overcomplicate and put all the... It just... Yeah, it's like the broadcasters aren't listening to feedback from the viewers. It's weird, that. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll have some more content for all you guys and girls very, very soon.